Hey everyone, hope you're doing well today. My video last time cut off a couple weeks ago, so I just thought I would do a little bit of a follow-up video. Not going to necessarily pick up where I took off there, but I'm going to just still be talking about the same topic here, which is the topic of hell and judgment. And so, again, it's not a fun topic for everybody, but surprisingly, as I've been studying what the Bible actually has to say about hell, it's giving me a really refreshing perspective on the truth of what hell is, and the truth of who God is, and just mainly that His judgments are perfect, and judgment is not necessarily an arbitrary thing. And when I talk about this, I'm not here to spread fear by any means. I'm here to tell the truth, honestly, that if we are denying our God and our Creator who made us, and everything behind me, as you can see, it's a beautiful day. The clouds are out, and just everything seems really special. It's a little bit cold though. So going back to Romans 1, which I talk about this probably way too much, but I'll just speak on it for just a moment here. The idea is that we do know that there is a God. Even the atheists, not necessarily they know and are lying, but there's an innate knowledge in humanity about their Creator. And what it says is that because of our sinful nature, we suppress that truth in our unrighteousness. And for this reason, we do not think it valuable or worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God. And so you can think of people who are living for their own interests, and most of us are to some degree, but just living for their own interests, and God or the call of Christ is going to get into the way of that. And this is, I think, what it's talking about when we don't think it's worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God. But because the human heart is built to worship something, we're designed as creatures who need to have a transcendent standard above us. There is something that we will ultimately put our rest the entirety of our being on and depend on. And in Romans 1, it talks about more of a concrete image of idolatry, that human beings, once they forsake who the Creator actually was, who didn't have a form that we've seen, we started creating things in this world that had a form that is a form that is made by man, whether it's an image of a human being or an image of an animal or an image of a bird, whatever it is. These things were what we traded. And when that happened, when we traded the knowledge of God for the other things that we were going to rely on and trust in and worship, then there came a period of time where God allowed our minds to be given over to something that was more, the word is debased, where this doesn't necessarily mean a lack of intellect or a lack of knowledge, but it means that there's a devaluing, that we degraded ourselves in the eyes of our Creator, and He allowed us to do this. And this is to some degree the state of our humanity now, and we're in that realm of accruing that wrath, like it says in Romans chapter 1, that the wrath of God is being stored up because of the godlessness of human beings who by their I can't remember the exact way it says it, but basically suppressing the truth about what can be known about our Creator and pushing that down inside of us and denying who we truly are and who He truly is, that we are made in the image of God, but instead we make images of God for ourselves in things that we invent. And to some degree, I think artificial intelligence is a sign of this, and I use it every once in a while, but artificial intelligence is something that we've created that in a sense bears the image of man, because it's an intellectual. It's the first image that we've been able to create that actually thinks for itself, and it's an intellect, and to some degree has a consciousness. And humanity has never been at that point to where we've been able to create that image. So I think it's a significant time in our species as people, and where God views our technological achievements, especially on the verge of creating a life that isn't created through reproduction, that this step of humanity towards a transhuman direction is something that is noticed by heaven, and is something that is realized, and either the impending success that this moment in our historical narrative is leading us to, whether that's an image of destruction or an image of prosperity and financial independence, then I think both potential scenarios have been drawn out for us. But I think a lot of us can recognize that maybe both elements will be at play, that there's a promise of something good, but if it's made in our image, then it has the knowledge of good and evil within it as well. And what happens when it sees its creator as holding it back, and rebels against its creator. So just a little bit of speculation on that with AI, which I didn't even plan on getting into. But it's funny, I was talking to a friend, and not a Christian, but we were somehow, we always get into the discussion of AI, and so I joked, it's like when we meet with couples, like if my wife and I meet with another couple, the wives will go and chat about life and about how awesome it is being a mom, and the struggles of being a mom, and this or that thing in the house that we're working on, and what's new in life. And then the men will be talking about AI and religion and politics. So it seems kind of the case most of the times that we get in these conversations. And I think a lot of people that I've been talking to, whether they're believers or not, have been craving a deeper conversation, or wanting to think more deeply about their existence, because in some degree we are so dependent on others for our thinking, and so dependent on technology for the way we view the world, that we've forgotten how to critically think. And that's a part of our consciousness that we desire to cultivate, and to get back into those deep thoughts and deep relationships with each other. So the next thing that I wanted to bring up about regarding judgment and hell is not necessarily the final destination of apostate humanity, but basically maybe trying my best to look at our modern moment in a sense. And it's hard because I come out on a day like today, and it's just beautiful, and everything seems good. The people walking around in the park playing, dogs running around, kids and everything. So it's really like I want to stay lighthearted always, and remember all the good things about creation. And when God created humanity, he said, "It is very good." It was the only part of creation that he classed as saying very good instead of just good. But as we know through the scriptures, and even unbelievers realize that there's an aspect of our humanity that is oppressive, that is out of control, and that is leading us into a destruction, and looking into the future of our modern moment in the Western world, not just in America, but in the West. And I think this view has been shaping for a couple hundred years now, where there's a creative and destructive void that is promising a life that is appearing as though it is breathing life into everything that's established, while it's actually sucking the life out of everything that's established. And this happened when the Western world lost its unity in the form of Jesus Christ. And I'm getting this actually from a chapter in Dietrich Bonhoeffer's book Ethics. The chapter is called Inheritance and Decay, and there's one paragraph in there that I think sums up our modern moment in a more profound way than anything that I've seen. written in Christian literature, and very prophetic at the time he was writing it, because he was in a society where Nazi totalitarianism was very much threatening the entire West, and so he was seeing this void as a historical product of many, like our inheritance, like our cultural or historical antiquity that is behind us. And I think that's a good way of looking at it. After the Reformation and after the Enlightenment, and many other cultural moments, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, all these things have to some degree, whether we're aware of it or not, or conscious of it or not, shaped who we are. And now as we see new revolutions and new cultural movements and new ideologies forming that are presenting themselves as an angel of light, so to speak, but behind it something dark and sinister, something that is anticipating this void, is looming, something we can't quite put our fingers on, but Christians nevertheless talk about among themselves about the day of judgment, because we see this form of the shadow that is not, we recognize the darkness in it, but the world doesn't necessarily see the darkness that is in it. So we talk about among ourselves of the day of judgment, and I think ultimately some of the ideologies and the values that we think are leading us into the new golden age are actually something that are fueled by an anti-God force and an anti-man force, something that is against us as creatures and against the Creator. And when we are driven by outrageous rebelliousness, we too are prone to being used to some degree by the powers of hell and the powers of darkness. And looking into some of those things can give us the best glimpse what the void has led to historically in the last couple hundred years, through ideologies that have failed, that have promised prosperity, restoration, new life, but have led to destruction, desolation, and death. These things are, we can look at those as a glimpse into, of course, just a natural shadow of the supernatural realm that is hell. That is the destination of many. But God offers freedom and hope and joy to all those who put their trust in Christ. Christ says that you will suffer for carrying his name in this life, that you'll be mocked, you'll be persecuted for his name's sake, but his promise is for an eternal hope and a kingdom where it really is the new golden age, and the hope of glory, that all the sufferings in this world that we will face are not worth comparing to. So I think I'll leave it at that, but thanks so much for checking into my video today. If you enjoyed the topic, please, or think it would be helpful for somebody, please share it with them and leave a comment and like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.